Trying to figure out how to plan for your new homeschool year? Me too. This video is going to be all about how you can plan for your preschooler for the new school year. I'm going to show you a little bit about the resources that I have, and it's going to include everything from Read-Alouds to which homeschool planner I chose and the materials that I have, and kind of talks through how I put it all together to make a cohesive calendar for the year. Stay tuned. Letters and Numbers has 4 units. The first 2 units go through the alphabet one time, and they just talk about sounds and identification of letters. This 2-unit set takes 26 weeks. So I thought I would be able to finish this in a semester, but I am not. So it's really a year-long curriculum, but because I'm only homeschooling 3 days a week, I can't fit this entire 2 units into one school year. So I had to decide which set I wanted to use. So my plan is to use sets 3 and 4 in the jungle and in the air to use as my base curriculum, and then I'm going to supplement for extra days with units 1 and 2 in the forest and on the farm. You kind of have to take into account that information whenever you're deciding what materials you want to purchase, how many days you're going to plan to homeschool, and how many days the curriculum is set up for. So since this is 4 days and I'm only going to be homeschooling 3 days, it's going to take me longer to get through it, and I didn't want to skip around because I didn't want it to be hard to follow. So I've planned based on this curriculum as my basis and have added in the other materials behind it. So I'm going to do a real quick flip through of In the Forest. So again, this is just the teacher's guide. It's not including the student workbook A and B. If you are interested in looking more closely at these materials, I can make another video that goes over what you're going to see in each of the units in the teacher's guide and in the student materials. But basically you have an overview for the week that kind of just tells you what you're going to be seeing, all the different aspects of the curriculum. Each day you'll have a content. Most of the time it's going to be animals. The last unit goes into flight and different kinds of aircraft, but the majority of the rest of it is about animals. So it gives you an animal that you're going to talk about. You read this, and then there's a portion that is Bible related to the topic that you were discussing. It has some comprehension questions, which are really nice. They're fairly easy. And it also incorporates sounds and phonological awareness into it. There are 4 days per week, like I mentioned before, and so the next day usually is an extension of the first day. So you talk a little bit more about that particular animal. Again, you have a Bible component and a question set. And then this is day 3. You have a new animal, and then you have an extension of that animal. So and then there's a review with a little game at the back. And that's pretty much the way each week works. Now, so for my science portion, I'm using the Science for Little Hearts and Hands Field and Flowers set from The Good and the Beautiful. And it has everything from crustaceans and insects to parts of a plant and trees. So this also comes with a video series that's on their website that follows along, and it also has a read-aloud book that goes along with it as well. Okay, so for the Zigzag Zebra, this again is from All About Reading Prereading set, and it has every alphabet letter, and it's capital letters in this one, and it's just really simple sentences. They're not very long. It's all black and white pictures that honestly are really good pencil sketches. There are only 3 pages per letter. So if you purchase the whole curriculum, these letters are actually corresponding to their letter charts. They have a capital letter chart that has this exact picture on it, and a lowercase letter chart that matches the pictures that are in Lizard Lou. So Lizard Lou has all the lowercase letters, and then it has poetry that goes along with that letter. Again, all really exquisite pencil sketches and black and white images. right, so we're about to jump into planning for my first year of homeschooling. My daughter is going to be 4 in September, and this will be her first time to homeschool. And I've got a pretty good plan in my mind of what I want to have happen. So I'm trying to figure out how to put it all down on paper together. And stay tuned for further videos to see how well my plan actually works, if it does what I think it's going to do or not. So, all right, so I'm using the Essential Homeschool Planner. I got it on Amazon. I'll link that below so that you can see what it looks like. If you'd like to see a flip through, I can do that too. I also have where I pulled from the Gentle Classical Press, their book list and unit study of the preschool version of their curriculum. And it kind of talks about what each letter and when they do each letter, what books can go along with that. So I pulled that from their free teacher's guide that you can get online. And I'll link all of these things below so that you can get to those and look further for yourself. But my plan is to follow the main curriculum that we purchased, which is Gather Round, and then to bring in elements of the All About Reading pre-reading set and the Gentle Classical Press as just additional support for the letter that we're studying at the time. The math is built into these two components, which are the letters and numbers, and the Gentle Classical Press has some additional things with math also. So all the math and literacy is built into these two programs. I also have, I wanted to make sure to stick with the themes of the month. And so as we go through the year and as holidays are coming up, I wanted to make sure to incorporate those things as well. So when I'm planning, I'm wanting to make sure to think about those things, which will also tie into what books are in our morning basket, which I have a whole nother video that's going to come out about morning basket and our morning menu that we're going to use together to do the rest of our material. That would include our Bible and manners and art and music and all that. So these are just some things that I found online off of Teachers Pay Teachers for free, because I like free. And it just kind of has some different ideas of what you can study at what time of the year that goes along with what the holidays are. So I'm going to kind of incorporate that too. Okay, so I've got my handy dandy Friction Pilot erasable pens that I'm going to use as I'm writing, because I want to make sure that I can correct any things that I want to change or any mistakes that I make. Also, who is not a fan of fantastic ink pens? So I'm a fan of all school supplies, especially my Post-its. So I've got those handy in case I need that as well. And it's time to get started. Here I'm going through and I'm adding the literacy and math components from the letters and numbers units 3 and 4 to my planner. So I know exactly what letter and math concept I'm going to be working on for that week. I'm also adding in the All About Reading pre-reading books so I can know exactly what pages to turn to go along with that letter. And this is why I buy erasable pens, because my mind is always going and changing things. And when I find things are better than I want to fix, so now I can go back and change what I put on this page. And they erase really well, because I've had erasable pens in the past that were not fantastic, but these are great. One thing about the literacy that I didn't realize until I started looking through, the letters and numbers puts the alphabet in order, which is not my favorite way of presenting the letters, because I think you should do them out of order so they don't just memorize the order of them. And it's more retention over time, that they can remember what the letter is and the sound that it makes when you present it in any way, in any form, in any order. Which is what I did really love about the Gentle Classical Press pre-primer, whatever their preschool, their first level is. They had them all out of order. So, but our main curriculum is our Gather Round, so I'm just going to have to go with it. And just remember to review our letters out of order when I use my flashcards with her. I think I have an idea of how I want to do my science. So I purchased the Fields and Flowers Parent Guide and Student Book from The Good and the Beautiful. And so I want to use this to supplement what I have already purchased and I'm planning to use as my core curriculum, which is the letters and numbers from Gather Round units 3 and 4. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to use this as the main curriculum. I'm going to follow this, and I'm going to pull in the pages out of Fields and Flowers that I can use to support what we're doing in our letters and numbers curriculum. So I'm going to do that first. So in case you're not familiar with the Gather Around Letters and Numbers set, it does not just include literacy. It also has everything from science and social studies to Bible, art, fine motor skills, and math. Alright, so I think I have the science pretty much figured out. I have one or two holes that I need to fill in, and I can take care of that later. I also still have to go back and fill in what math I want to do after Unit 4 is over. So I'm thinking about doing some math with confidence from kindergarten math with confidence there. So I'm going to look into that a little bit further and see kind of what I want to do with that. But right now I want to go ahead and put our read-alouds in. So I've gone through already and I've decided kind of what theme I want to go over in my morning basket. Now I want to go and attach my read aloud that is going to kind of match with the season or whatever we're studying at that time. So that's what I'm going to do now. I don't have all my read alouds yet. So these are some that I already had on my shelf that I wanted to look at. I'm not sure that I'll use them all, but I pulled those. And then I have not received the rest of my books for art, music, and read aloud yet. I did a big thrift books haul, so I will make a video about that probably and show you all the things I got for the fantastic prices I got them for. And so I'm going to use this for the rest of the read alouds that I know are coming, and these that I have here to kind of put them all together and make a plan for the year. Since this was my first time to plan for read alouds with the preschooler, I wasn't quite sure what books to choose. So I looked on thrift books, found things that I thought might be interesting, and then cross-referenced those with Amazon so I could read an excerpt. I didn't want it to be too hard for my child to understand because she's going to be 4 soon. So that was one thing I took into account. I also originally planned to do smaller books, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought I shouldn't limit her by what I think she ought to be able to do. You know, if this turns out to be a big total bust, then that's fine. I can revisit it. But I think as long as the chapters are short enough and I kind of feel her out to know when she's done and I can stick with that, I think she'll still enjoy it. I also plan to make sure that she has like hands-on things to do while she's listening. So she remembers lots of things. She can recall words for songs from the beginning to the end. Just because she's 3 doesn't mean she can't learn big chunks of information. So I'm having to expand my mind and think about how she can learn more if I push her to learn more. I don't want to make her to the point that she's frustrated, but I also don't want to limit her just because I feel like she's too young for that. So that's kind of my goal. I'm going to try to give her some more complex text that she wouldn't just typically have as a 3-year-old. And if, like I said, if she can't handle it, then we'll do something different. But I'm going to try it and see what happens. So for those of you who have already planned for read-alouds, let me know in the comments, like, how long do you usually expect your book to take? I mean, I know it's going to depend on the length of the book and the attention span of your kids, but do I plan for a month per book, or do I just plan for a few weeks and maybe we'll read it more than just those 3 days a week? It's a good question. I think I'm going to try to plan for 3 weeks at a time, and if I mess that up, that's okay. I can always fix that. It's all about monitoring and adjusting in the teacher world. So I'm also expecting, though, that if she really enjoys the book, she might not want to wait till the next school day to read it. She may decide she wants to hear it more frequently throughout the week, since we're only planning 3 school days. I feel like I could get a good sized chapter book read in 3 weeks. So let's try that. So now that we're done, I'm not sure how things are gonna go. I mean, I feel pretty good about putting it all together, but again, it's my first year. I'm not really sure what I'm getting into. It's not nearly the same as planning for a scope and sequence for a classroom of 18 to 24 kids like I'm used to. It's definitely not like planning for IEPs for special ed kids. Definitely stay tuned to see follow-up videos on, how things have worked and what didn't work. And if you've been doing this for a while, help a first-time homeschooling mama out, and let me know some tips and tricks that you have that are going to help me be more successful with what I'm trying to do. Definitely go and check out all the resources that I've talked about today. I'll put links to them in the description below, and we'll see you next time as we explore education, ministry, and more.